Well, welcome to BareLead, where we strip down leadership to its raw, unfiltered, unabashed truths. I'm Pooja, and today we're diving into, once again, bold decisions, vulnerability, and what modern leadership looks like for women today. And we're going to be diving into a rather assumed aspect of adaptability in leadership. My guest today is Tahnee, and I'm super excited for you to hear more about her leadership journey. So thank you so much for being here. It's great that we can finally connect, and I would love for you to get started with a little bit of an introduction for the listeners.
Hi, well, thank you for having me. I'm honored. So I'm Tahnee. I work at PVH in Amsterdam, and PVH is the umbrella company of the big fashion house brands. So this is Calvin Klein and Tommy Hilfiger. And currently, I hold the role of vice president for wholesale operations and digital go-to-market and experiences. And a little bit more about myself. I come from an island, and I've been living in Amsterdam for the past 20 years almost. So yeah, quite a thing.
Nice. Thank you so much for sharing that, and congratulations on the massive growth you've had in your career journey so far. And I want to kind of take you back a little bit because I want to understand more about your journey and how you arrived at leadership in your field.
Yeah. Really, it's been a long journey, right? So I think it's I've started, I remember, as a project manager, and throughout my growth, it's really how I've taken on every role that I had at the time, and how I shaped it, and created a leadership role for myself. I think it's a combination of being given the opportunity and trust, and also demonstrating every day what is possible. Showing up, I would say, is a key thing, and really taking the leadership's role seriously. And with that, I really mean shaping strategies, shaping my team, shaping their development, knowing when to course correct, when certain moments arise, and really just being authentic and being myself. And I think the combination has been, yeah, for me, I'm very lucky, and of course grateful to be here in this position. And it took work. It took a lot of work, of course, but I guess that's how it led to where it was today.
Right. And I think you mentioned a lot of movements and transitions, and of course, from a PM to a VP. What you also spoke, the undercurrent was very, very evidently adaptability and,
Mm.
working through strategies, working through team dynamics, and making your way and taking the role seriously. But how do you adapt to change without over accommodating or losing your voice? Because it can be hard, especially in the space that you are, whether it's wholesale or retail or specifically e-commerce. It's a very volatile space. So how do you adapt to change without losing your voice?
I think it's a very good question. And I would say early on, I would have thought that adaptability, or let's just say strong leadership, that meant, having all the right answers, all the right at the right times. But over time, I've learned that it just meant that I have to be open and adjusting my approach as the context changes. And boy, does it change. And the reality is, as long as I do it intentional, I can do it right. So adaptability has really taught me to grow without becoming so rigid in
Mm.
that sense.
Yeah, and I think it's also a personal choice, but also
Yeah,
a strategic lever, right? To be adaptable and move.
100%. And one thing that you said that I really want to come back to is, you said, without your voice, losing yourself, without losing your authenticity. I think it's important to listen, but not always having to agree. It's important to stay curious, take things from different perspectives all the time, and then see what really kind of aligns with the outcome, with me, with my way of working, my values, right?
Mm.
Choosing when to be flexible and when I need to be firm. And I
Mm.
think the balance is really, really key.
Right. I'm listening, disagree agreeably a little bit, also there. So maybe I want to kind of touch upon a particular moment or like a pivotal moment that forced you to ultimately redirect your path in a way. If you can walk through maybe such moment.
Yeah. I think it's not one moment, but I think there were many moments where either roles have changed, really fast, unexpectedly, or plans have changed or fell apart, or I was given feedback that challenged how I saw myself. And
Mm.
I think those moments force me to kind of reassess not just what I'm doing, but why I'm doing things. Like I
Mm.
had to go back to the why. And that meant for me, that's that adaptability that is kind of like I have to redefine the success rather than kind of like chasing what I intentionally wanted to do to begin with. So I have to course correct as I move along. So yeah, to answer your question, there was never just one moment. It's
Mm.
always many different, moments that came along.
And I think you touched upon a very, very ignored aspect of leadership, which is answering your why. And I think that requires so much of introspection also, and just be open to accept the hard things that you may not want to see.
Yeah.
So how do you work with that, because on the other side there is adaptability and there's evolution, and of course what the teams see as your
Mhm.
authentic self, but on the flip side is all of that work, the inner work, right? So how do you stay grounded and focused, because changes happen, they'll continue to happen for the foreseeable future. So what's your strategy there?
I think you just need to be vulnerable. You need to be open. You need to have courage. And I think within that, it's just being honest to yourself and to others. That's what I have, and that's what I work with. And then if I can ensure to always keep that as I go along, I'm always getting the right input from my team or from my key stakeholders. I ensure that that in itself creates an atmosphere where I can make the right decisions because I'm honest. I'll be clear about what I can do and what I cannot do, how I feel about it, and if I don't believe in it as well.
Mm.
So I think that's really what I have to work with, if I'm honest.
Yeah. And have there also been moments where you've had to, touch upon a little bit, have you had to put your foot down and say, no, I'm adaptable 99% of the times, but this 1% I'm not budging. Have there been moments?
Many, many times. I think, as I grow, um, setting my boundaries has been so key, so critical for me. I think it's as I learn, I'm still learning every day. I think it's the one thing that I always have to lean on because I know I'm very flexible and I know I can take it to the next level, but to a sense, I have to, take care of myself, right, in that space. So I do think that setting boundaries is super critical. I think it also gives a sense of respect back, from others to you. So um, without going too detailed into that, I just think it's like it's something that is a no brainer.
Right. I think there's also that personal willingness to say no and have that sort of self-respect for yourself. I think the
Yeah.
other side of the coin is also to have an enabling environment, potentially a management team that respects those choices as well. Have you always been lucky?
I've always been lucky. I think that's so the thing, right? Yes, I've always been lucky enough to be able to, allow myself to be vulnerable, and to have that trust, two ways, in that sense. So, yeah, absolutely. I think it's partially luck,
Mm,
but it's also partially, you know, if you do anything intentional and if you do it, in the right way, I don't think it's luck. I think it's also you create that for yourself.
right. And I know that, in environments like fashion is a very specific place where gender ratios and dynamics are a little bit different, let's say, compared to finance or
Mm.
any other industry. So a lot of women tend to kind of hold back or they're not able to express themselves fully. So what do you think? And I'm sure from your network you would know that there are differences also in industries. What does
Mhm.
modern leadership demand from women today? And what is your advice to women who are navigating this space of authenticity, but also treading with caution because there is a lot on the line if they disagree?
If I look at myself, I think if I see myself as a very empathetic person, right? Where I think the expectations coming today more and more towards women is that they're empathetic, but they're also decisive and they're also firm.
Mm,
And I think that challenge is that women are often, expected to adapt more on that level. But the reality is, it's kind of coming back to what I just said. If you're true to yourself, if you're, setting clear boundaries, naming perspectives, not confusing adaptability with, self reassurance, I think it should be fine. And I love the fact that I can still be empathetic, and at the same time I can be firm when needed, right? So again, though, the environment has to accommodate for that, right? You touched upon it. It has to, but I do think that that's where I see the key differences between my male counterparts and myself, if
yeah.
I'm honest. Yeah.
And I think you hit the nail on the head where you said that the whole decisive and adaptable seems like a paradox to a lot of, let's say, masculine systems, but it's actually not. It's how women are operating today. And I think also just realizing when an environment allows you to be yourself and when it doesn't, and choosing, I think, also is possibly something that people have to leverage a little bit more on because a lot of us feel like, okay, this is what we are doomed to be in, as opposed to saying, okay, I have a choice and I can be different in a different environment.
Absolutely. I can't agree more.
Right. And with that, I've actually kind of run out of the questions that I wanted to ask you because we've touched on so many layers, right from, the part about knowing yourself, setting boundaries, staying adaptable, being firm, and also disagreeing agreeably. I'm going to remember that because I think it's a very, very strong lever and people don't use it enough. And the way you've kind of grown from the PM to the leadership trajectory kind of is a testament to that fact that it has worked for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think, lastly, I the why. It's like really considering, what matters to me and why am I doing this, and thinking about things that I can influence, and really letting go of the things that are not in my control. I think that's, something that, it's learning by doing as I go, but that has also helped me, in shaping where I am today.
Love that, picking your battles.
Picking your battles.
Thank
Yes,
you. Thank you so much for sharing your journey and insights. It was very inspiring, and I know that there is a lot that goes behind, the fluidity with which you spoke, because leaders navigate a lot of internal challenges also, right? You have a family, and you have work, and you have a team, and you have stakeholders that keep multiplying as you grow. So thank you so much. And thanks to everyone for tuning into BareLead. If you love this conversation, you can follow or subscribe or leave us a review on Spotify or Apple Music. I'm Pooja, and I'll see you next time for more raw, stripped down truths. And until then, please keep it real.